Cheers. If you're new here, hello, my name is Lucy. I am currently making a video series called Here in the Middle, where I'm basically documenting my journey with mindset shifting, identity shifting, manifestation, and basically just trying to change my life because this year has been a clusterfuck. So this is my story, and I'm hoping that through this series people can see that for a lot of people manifestation isn't just about making a choice and affirming for 5 hours a day. It's a bit more than that. But this past week was very, very transformative for many different reasons, but let me just try and succinctly wrap up what happened this week. A couple days after I uploaded my last video, I basically had a breakdown, like an actual mental breakdown. This isn't the same as like a crash out, which is what I described in my last video. I actually had a mental breakdown, fully lost my mind. Everything just got on top of me. I just felt like shit. I was angry, I was furious, I was crying. I couldn't stop crying for most of the day, really. And it sucked. It was hard. I felt like in that moment that it was never going to get better and it was never going to improve, and I would always be stuck. Like, I felt like I was just in this loop and it was never going to end. Obviously not the case. When you're in the middle of that, it can feel all-consuming and like it will never end. But what that breakdown taught me was, it was kind of like a wake-up call that I really need to start prioritizing my nervous system. And I really need to make nervous system regulation and rest and healing a priority from now on. Because if I don't, I am going to be in this loop forever, and I'm never going to get to a place where my nervous system is regulated enough for me to actually see progress that I need. As well as just the huge reliance that my nervous system has on the outside world in order to feel okay, which is something that I am actively working on. I made rest a priority. I stopped working out. I stopped making myself get up earlier than I needed to. I stopped pushing myself, and I made a concerted effort to slow down. As a very type A eldest daughter, that can be challenging for me. So I've been doing that, and I do feel a lot more stable than I did. And of course it's only been a week or so, so I can't say that I'm cured or anything. A few days after that breakdown, I had another one. I just love a breakdown, me. It's just a bit of me. But this time it was a little bit different. Once I had gotten the emotion out and I had screamed to the rooftops and cursed the universe, I sat back and I kind of shifted my energy a little bit. I watched something funny, I shook out my body, I made myself smile, which did help. And that was advice that I got from my mentor. Lighten it up again and get out of that kind of serious mindset that is very easy to drop into with this kind of stuff, with inner work in general. But then I was kind of thinking about, why am I always in this loop? Why am I stuck in this place? What is it that is preventing me from moving forward? What is it that's blocking my blessings? I can't do any more inner work. I've done so much of that, it's crazy. I can't take any more action. I'm doing the action that I physically can do. I've also done the energetic side of it. I do energy clearings, I do chakra clearings. I should be ticking all the boxes. And of course there's the aspect of nervous system regulation, which I do that stuff too, and obviously this week that has been a big priority for me as well. So what is it? I just kind of spoke out loud, stream of consciousness, and what I found was that my identity was rooted in this idea of a tortured soul. That's what I call it. You know, the whole stereotype of like a tortured artist or a starving artist. I feel like I relate to that, or I did relate to that. My identity was so rooted in suffering that I felt like I needed to be tortured in order to be who I am and to be interesting and to have depth and to have intuition and to have humility and nobility, all of these things that I pride in myself. And obviously that's not true. You can be all of those things without having to suffer first. Because of my background, because of where I came from, the experiences I've had in my life, and the continuous theme of suffering and problems and sadness, that has become like an underlying part of my foundation. I once, years ago, described myself as having an underlying layer of sadness with me wherever I go. And I really held that to be true about myself. This is going back to when I was a teenager. I'm almost 28 now, so this has been many, many years, like over a decade, thinking that sadness was just part of who I am. I did kind of briefly touch on this in one of my other videos. The idea of growing up in poverty and not wanting to be like rich people who are horrible and lack humility. Going a step deeper than that and peeling back the layers of this onion, it comes down to me identifying with being tortured and needing something to be wrong at all times. I look back on certain points of my life and things were going well, but even in those moments where things were going well for me, I would still look for things to worry about. So usually what I would default to was my health, my weight and my body, or my skin. That would usually be the things that I defaulted to find problems with. And just this idea of always needing something to be wrong with me, or needing something to work on, needing something to make progress with. I'm very practical, I'm very realistic. When I have a goal to work towards and I'm making steady progress and I can tick off a box, or I can get that dopamine hit of completing something or learning something or mastering something, that gives me so much joy. And it's reflected in other areas of life too, and I talked about this as well, this idea of needing to control everything in order to feel safe. It's all connected, and I'm not gonna kind of go too deep into it. It does link into things like intimacy and love and feeling safe in relationships as well. Don't want to bore your head off, make this video too long, so I won't go into the intricacies of that. It's something that has weaved itself into the fabric of my very being. I don't want to live like that anymore. After that breakdown, and after I had this big realization, I decided, okay, I'm gonna release this. Did a little visualization. I imagined these versions of me, this tortured version of me, stepping outside of my body, lovingly letting them go, seeing them walk away, knowing that that's not me anymore, and I'm separating myself from that whole identity. As I've been saying, I want things to be easy. This version of me, this identity, this part of me that was a protective mechanism at some point and did help me and serve me at some point, now has to go. So I did that, and I did feel an immediate kind of shift. I felt lighter, I felt better, and I did feel like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. Later on that evening, I saw this reel. I will link the reel below, or I'll link it in the comments. It was a woman reading out a poem. The poem spoke to me so deeply. It hit literally exactly this whole thing. Wanting to get to a certain place and wanting to level up, but your body not feeling safe in that and wanting to push it away, not actually being able to hold the things that you want and receive the things that you want, which is what this tortured soul identity was related to, this idea of capacity and receiving, being able to hold the things that I want. And this poem made me cry because it was so well written, it was so profound, and it just spoke to my very soul. At the end of the poem, she says, "I think I'm ready now. I ain't never been up this high." And I can say I do feel ready now. Releasing this identity, And not only that, but taking my inner child with me out of this old place that I used to live, out of this old protective mechanism that she created because it came from childhood, and telling her that we don't have to do that anymore. I can take care of things now. I can take care of you. You don't have to take care of me. And I visualize taking her into my car and driving her out of my childhood street and away into the horizon, into a new life. And honestly, when I did all this, I felt kind of sad. I felt like, holy shit, I am leaving behind an entire era. I'm leaving behind a version of my life that has been comforting and has been my reality for so long at this point, and is all I've ever known. And I'm choosing to let this go. That's a lot. That's kind of scary. And it was bittersweet to do this and to actually say, okay, I'm closing that door, I'm leaving it behind. There is an element of grief to that. And I don't think people talk about this much. When you close out an entire era, an entire chapter of your life that has provided you with comfort and safety and familiarity, of course, when you let it go and you step into a new phase, it's gonna feel like, oh my God, I have to grieve this. And I felt this before, you know, when I moved away to live abroad. And then when I came back again, I experienced this both times. And I liken it to the feeling of when you move house and you've lived in a house for ages and you love this house and this house has given you so much. And you're moving out, you've packed all your stuff into a van. You look back at your house one more time and you give it one last look. That's how I felt. I felt like giving my metaphorical house one last look before I close the door and never go back there again. Which obviously is a good thing. It's a great thing. When we change our identity, that's what we want, right? Why does our body fight it? And it's because of our identity, our beliefs, and the things that we find comforting. So if this is you, if you have been stuck in a loop similar to mine, and you're trying to figure out, how do I get through this? Do I just need to affirm more? Do I need to do more mindset work? Likelihood is no, you don't. You've probably done endless self-development work. You don't need to do any more of that. At some point, you have to declare that work done. On the other side of that, there is probably an identity that you are holding on to subconsciously that you don't know is there necessarily. In order to step into this new phase, you have to choose to let that go. You don't have to do anything crazy to do that. I just did a visualization and some breathing, and that was it. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't burn any letters. I didn't, you know, smudge my house with Palo Santo or anything. Just mentally, emotionally, spiritually chose to cut that identity out and see it leave my body. And most of the time that is enough. So where does that leave me then? Right now, I'm not really feeling any pull towards action or anything like that. I'm still uploading these videos, but that's it really. That's all I'm feeling called to do. And I'm not really feeling called to do any more inner work either. The thing that I'm still learning right now is not to seek external validation too much, and not to look to the outside world and my circumstances and my manifestations to tell me that what I've done has worked, or that a shift is happening, or that it's finally going to be the thing, you know? And I think that is going to be a work in progress, and maybe if I've had another kind of realization, then I can share it in my next video. Right now, that's where I'm at. That's the situation this week. Identity shifting and releasing old identities. So while I don't have any kind of tangible results to show you this week or to point at and say, hey, look, it's working. That's also part of the problem, right? Is people want proof, they want evidence. Sometimes with this stuff, life does not give you evidence. I do still have trust and a deep belief that things will work out and things will happen and I will get movement. The solution will come to me. I just need to, as always, not rush the process, not seek external validation outside of just my own decisions or my own intuition. So that's it. Don't really have anything else to say, so I'm going to end it here. If you like this video series, if you want to hear more, if you want to know more about me, or if you just want to share your experiences in the comments, I would greatly appreciate that. Like the video, it helps to get my videos out there, and subscribe maybe if you want. Again, no pressure. I also do have an Etsy. I do tarot card readings if you are into that kind of thing. If not, again, no pressure, but the option is there. I've been doing it for a while now. I kind of know what I'm doing. That'll be it for me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.